Hey, James here. It's a new year with so many new things on the horizon. And while many things change, one thing has stayed the same for me and all of us here at Live to Die: how much we all appreciate each and every one of you listeners. This show continues to be possible because of each and every one of you that take the time each week to tune in and listen to our little adventure. So thank you from all of us so darn much. You already do everything we could ask by taking the time to listen to a podcast about a handful of people playing a Pathfinder game. But for some reason, if you've done that and you still want to do more, you can reach out, catch us on social media, email us at livetodiepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think or just connect. You also can rate and review us on your podcast app of choice, follow us on our social media accounts, share this show with people who you think might like it. Remember to be respectful. And if you really, really, really want to do something more, you can support us on Patreon, where we share behind-the-scenes conversations and other recordings. We have some early playthroughs of the 2E beginner box that we use to test out our equipment and kind of get settled into the game for us. And we're almost done releasing a 4-episode actual play adventure arc of Pathfinder 2nd Edition that takes part in a different part of the River Kingdoms on our Patreon. So we've got all that, and additionally, as a part of our Patreon, each month we shout out one supporter at the called shot tier or higher. This month, that's Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. We really appreciate your support, feedback, and really all that you have to share with everyone. Support from you and other patrons has helped us make this show, keep it going, and start to look at how we can do a little bit more, like some of those extra episodes. So if you want to, check us out at www.patreon.com/live-to-die-pod. That's www.patreon.com/live-to-die-pod. Thank you so darn much. Be nice, roll dice, and enjoy this week's episode of Live to Die.
Roll dice, be nice, and stay tuned. This is the Live to Die podcast.
So, I will say that I prepared for recording this weekend. I tried to, at least. I picked out a shirt, because I always try to have a shirt that foreshadows things that might be coming in the adventure.
I've been trying to figure it out the whole time.
That's not good at all.
Beware of dog?
It's Green Room. The movie?
I haven't seen Green Room, so I don't know what to expect.
I don't even want to tell you.
Is that Angry Patrick Stewart?
It's Angry Patrick
That's scary
Stewart.
enough.
You're going to fight Jean-Luc Picard?
Yep.
Oh, no.
He's a big, bad, very bad villain in that movie. And it does not go well for anyone involved.
Let me just say that when I was prepping the Stag Lords for it, I'm like, kind of has a Green Room vibe. There's some cool stuff there. Jane's face, excellent right now.
A little bit
good.
of I smelled something bad mixed with why.
It's one of those, do you know, like one of those movies that you watch and you're like, the experience of having watched it, you're kind of like, I feel like I need to take a shower after watching this because I feel so gross and sad.
Like 7?
Worse, I would say. It's pretty bad.
It's worse than the way you feel after 7?
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Friend of the cast, Ryan, just watched it the other night, and I was texting him about it. Yeah,
it was funny because Ryan actually texted James and was like, "I'm about to start Green Room," because James, it's a great movie, but it's like awful to watch.
It's a brutal thriller.
Yeah, James recommends it to a lot of people, and so he had recommended it to Ryan, and Ryan texted James and was like, "What should I prepare for? Like sitting down to watch this movie?" And James was like, "It's amazing. Just sit back and enjoy the ride." And I text Ryan and was like, "Don't listen to a thing James says. It's horrible." And he was like, "This is sending me right now," because it's like, it's just exactly the like way in which James and I are different in the things we watch of like, it's a great movie that leaves you feeling very bleak and terrible. And James loves it. And I'm more of a like,
Jane and James, or Jason and James just high-fived.
Let's all just have a good time. We're just here to have fun.
It's an interesting, it's a movie that like, I think technically and deserves to be in the horror canon, but there isn't anything about it that is supernatural in the slightest. It is the thing that is terrifying is people. And it is a movie that has an elevated level of tension and horror because both sides in the movie make good as possible in horrible situation decisions. So there isn't the relief of like, well, that was dumb. We saw that. Like the whole movie is gut-wrenching tension.
And I watched it because James was like, it's really good. And also the villain, like the bad guy in it, is Captain Picard. It's Patrick Stewart and Sir Patrick Stewart.
Thank you.
And I was like, how bad can it be if it's Patrick Stewart? The answer is really fucking bad.
There's another side to Patrick Stewart that most people don't get to see.
Yeah, it's like, I also thought that even if his character was like really terrifying and scary, I wouldn't be scared because I would just see Picard. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, he has a really convincing and terrifying villain side.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great to see people who are like super charismatic play horrible villains and do it well. Anyway.
Like Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, he's iconic villain. But he's sort of like, at this point, iconically known for being a good villain actor. Like, I don't think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Sir Patrick Stewart, the iconic villain actor. Similarly,
all the people that listen to this podcast, now people are going to say that.
That's because of us. I'll say, because Jane and I recently finished Fall of the House of Usher. Mark Hamill is phenomenal in that show.
That's
to the point at which, like, I mentioned it to my coworkers, and they're like, wait, Mark Hamill's in it? I'm like, oh, that's character. Like, I didn't recognize that was Mark Hamill.
So basically, iconic space adventure heroes play great old man villains later in their career.
Cool.
That actually 100% checks out.
Yeah, that does check out.
Beside going off to the point that maybe the Stag Lord's Fortress is going to be really difficult, I did not prepare for this like jaunt across the plains with like the spider thing, the treasure stuff, but I am so fucking excited this has come up. This is probably one of the things that has been the hardest for me as a GM is I'll read through the 200-page chapter like of hex encounters across this huge map. And in my mind, I'm like, well, how do I get them to go there? And I have to know that you will all not go to even a third of them. Like already you have all, as a group, at this point, you could have reasonably been through more than 35 different unique things. And it's so hard to get over, but I'm so glad you've hit some of these things. And I'm just curious what your experience with players has been like. Like, do you feel like there's a world out there? Like, for me, it's so interesting as a GM to see behind the screen and be like, this is everything. What are they hitting? What are they not hitting? Am I doing enough to flesh out the world? How has the green belt started to feel to all of you who've been here in game now? We're coming up on a month almost, well, 3 weeks in real life time, better part of this year of us playing Kingmaker.
I mean, it definitely looks vast if you like look at the map and know that each of these hexes are 12 miles. Like you can find a lot of stuff through all this. There's a lot of space, and like you said, we may not hit 2/3 of it.
So I realize
you keep pointing it out. We'll find it. We'll go get it.
Well, and that's the other thing is like I'm trying really hard to make sure all of you feel the freedom to go wherever you want, and then let this thing emerge. Like let it be emerging gameplay. So maybe a better question for the sake of banter at the top. What do you see as the character of your experience in the green belt so far? Because I think my question would also require you to know what's there that you haven't seen a whole lot yet. But how would you characterize? How do you see this part of the stolen lands that you've so far been in?
It feels like being in a Western in a way.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, like I think if we were a movie genre, it would definitely be the kind of like exploring the unknown territory, but then also like a couple of the hallmarks of like the natural dangers with some of the animals that we've encountered and like a spider hole and stuff like that. But also paired with the human danger of like in a place where there's kind of like no rules and no laws and like everything's a little bit chaos, but there's also kind of these like hierarchies that are going on and little side adventures and stuff. So yeah, I definitely feel like we're playing a fantasy Western right now.
Another Star Trek in a way, which is sort of a sci-fi Western. Others' thoughts? What's the character?
I just want to say for me, Lucky doesn't care about the things that they're missing so much, but Jared wants to see them. But I'm trying to be true to Lucky, and so like when they're like, oh, there's a thing, a tree with an X by it, I'm like, this is like, we could be walking into a trap. Like, why even risk it? We know where we need to go. We know what we need to do. Let's do it.
Should definitely go back.
But Jared was like, oh yeah, you guys go see what that is, because I want to know.
Totally.
I did not expect you to split the party. It seemed to have paid off so far. Although who knows what's going to happen with the cliffhanger. Trent, Jason.
I think there's a little bit of like exploring new nature is appealing to Nikolai, but he's not he's not an adventurer per se. He's never really even thought of himself as like, I'm going to go. He's kind of answering a call or following what he feels like he's being told. So it's a little bit of both. Like this is overwhelming, but also I'm out here exploring nature that I've never explored before.
Does this feel like enough of a community yet where you think Nikolai is feeling like a bit of a warden of it? Or is it still feeling like sort of, bushwhacking into wilderness for no reason?
I would say the warden aspect of like, we've been given the responsibility to take care of this land. And as a follower of Erastil, he takes that shit seriously. So he's going out and, patrolling the nature that has been, there's bandits, scary spiders, stuff that hurt people.
Teammates that throw you into spider dens.
Teammates that kick you into spider holes. That kind of stuff. So it's
don't you forget it.
I would say that especially the more we travel and like fill in the map, the more he feels that warden aspect of like, this is ours.
That's cool.
And it's not necessarily it's ours, but this is our job.
Mm-hmm.
Trent?
You're like the sheriff
Yeah.
of Nottingham.
Yeah.
I think Arthur specifically has been looking for a reason to stay. He came here with a purpose. That purpose was pretty quickly extinguished in his mind.
Yeah.
Ours too.
Yeah. And
rip.
yeah. And so I think in his mind, it's like, well, I can get the ring back to them. We can take care of the Stag Lord. And then when that's done, he's probably like, I think I just go home. I have to go back to the Knights. And so I'm sure he's like, this is beautiful and there's all this land, but like, that's not what he's here for, So it's going to be interesting once that whole fort is, taken back over and everything's fine and the people out here can live peacefully. Like, I don't know really what he's going to do.
Don't worry, Arthur won't survive that.
Probably not.
Probably none of us will.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I realized when you were saying that, Trent, that with us moving this, because remember, originally this adventure takes place in 47. Oh God, I think it's like 4712, maybe. Yeah, 4712, I think. And so we're putting it in 47, like 22 or 23, I think is what we moved it to. That does change the context because it's before that, there were words with the Crusades up north going on. But at this point, the World Wound has been closed. Now, there's still fucking shit everywhere up there from that.
Right.
And the Whispering Tyrant has been imprisoned again. So your character is almost in a reverse Lord of the Rings, in which like you are in war as your beginning story, and then you have come to someone else's home where like petty warlords and bandit kings have sort of set up and sort of changed some of that landscape.
Yeah.
Jane, your comment I thought was really interesting because when I was prepping this adventure, I'm a big fan of like reading stuff that gets me in a fun mindset and puts it there. And I will say, like, I've been reading some good fantasy stuff and that's just been enjoyable. And I know obviously Trent and I were talking about it a lot, and it may have bled in that I was reading The Once and Future King, because Kingmaker has a lot of it and stuff there. But one of the other pieces that I've watched some episode, I've gone back and rewatched some of my favorite episodes from, is Deadwood. Because I frankly think that Kingmaker has a lot of like HBO's Deadwood, especially if we're talking about a post-alignment Pathfinder in which you have like characters with just differing edicts and anathema, essentially, and a very frontier sort of environment that's started in a place that, they don't really have a right intrinsically in that show. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that whole
It's funny
path.
too, because there is an episode, and I think I've read the show it before, of the BBC's Musketeers show that's like based on the Three Musketeers in a later season, where they go to this like small kind of village in the French countryside that's just been getting like robbed by bandits over and over and over again. And all the people that live there are like, there's nothing we can do about this. Like, we are just like average people. And like the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan like show up and just like kick all the bandits' asses because they're, these higher level characters. And so the whole time we were doing this, I was like, oh, this is literally like that episode. Like, three of us show up and are so much more powerful already that it just makes such a big difference.
Well, the Staglord stuff's going to be a little uphill. And who knows, honestly, who's more powerful here, you or these folks who just showed up the new morning at Oleg's trading post.
I'm not scared.
Yeah, me neither.
So let's cut back to that. You know what? Actually, Jane, we get to hit one of your favorite drops.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Jane's gonna roll.
No, not that drop.
All right. So we have, it's just
This is the hair rating drop.
Unfortunately, you can't see a lot of the hair. This is just like a head and shoulders illustration, but this is the main man. The one on this page here. Let's show it off.
Gary Oldman.
Kind of hot.
I believe you said he was hot.
You got a soul patch.
Wait, the guy on the left or
Really?
the right?
No,
The
the
guy
guy
on
on the
this
left.
page.
Oh.
The guy
The guy on this
Wow,
page.
do you
I thought he
like
was talking
soul
about
patches,
Gary Oldman
Jane?
with a goatee over
does
here.
not have a soul
Are you gonna
patch.
ask James to only have a soul patch?
Okay, so we have a listening audience. Please describe this figure.
He does not have a soul patch. It's a shadow.
He has
okay.
a prominent lip then.
Does have a hearty jawbone.
Yeah.
Nice chin.
Yeah. Dark,
Gaston.
dark hair,
Has a
maybe
little-
Yeah.
Gastonish.
A little
Yeah.
Gaston.
A little bit of a Kurt Russell look.
Oh,
I can see that.
With
I can see
a nightly
like a plate
Helmet
helmet,
situation.
Mhm.
Hair looks like average, 4 of 10.
Hat hair for sure.
Hat
Decent
hair
eyebrows.
definitely once that helmet comes off.
Probably sweaty and gross.
Yeah, a little stringy.
In addition to the current, he also kind of gave me a little bit, I don't know, not in visuals, but for some reason in vibe, gave me a little bit of like a Joel Edgerton sort of.
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
You already
All right.
cast Oleg as Joel Edgerton.
I know. It's apparently how I see all Pathfinder Frontiers folk.
They're all Joe Egan.
He's getting a lot of work. But he kind of, you see him get off his horse and he strides over right towards Ari and Lucky. And like with purpose and a little bit of speed.
And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who are you? Stay back.
And he extends his hand. I'm Keston Garris, and Oleg here just informed me that you've done the work we already came out here to do.
She looks over at Oleg. Is he like, yes, that's true. I know this guy.
And he just sort of shrugs.
Ari will shake his hand and be like, who are you?
I said I'm Keston
Yes,
Garris.
but why were you here? Like, who do you work for?
Oh, the British noble houses sent me. We received word from the trading post a few weeks ago that they were having issues with bandits, and myself and these sellswords were dispatched to come and deal with it. But according to Oleg, you've already taken care of it.
But what took you
For
so
the
long?
most part. Don't mind my friend. We're a little jumpy.
No, he sort of shrugs and looks over you. Bureaucracy, honestly. I just got the orders the other day. We mounted up and came out as soon as I could.
Yeah, it's been a non-issue for a week now.
Well, he sort of looks...
Actually, we are in fact going after some additional bandits because there is someone here named the Stag Lord who is apparently at the center of all of this and contributing greatly to the bandit issue around here. And so our job is not quite done if you would like to stick around.
Well, I have heard of a sort of self-proclaimed bandit king, and you actually sort of see he reaches back and like pulls a scroll case off and opens it. I have several, and he starts leafing through. He's like, well, it sounds like you have. Do you have any proof? No, sorry, not to doubt, but and he unfurls like a wanted poster signed with the seal of the like Southern Brevik houses. Of like, and you can see that it's like wanted. Bandits,
Stag Lord.
killed, captured, or otherwise. And he says, like, I don't see any captives, but do you have any proof of what you've accomplished?
We have a whole cart of their stuff.
Yeah. Didn't we?
Amulets. We have amulets.
So didn't we take?
We've been taking amulets like dog tags.
Yeah.
We've been taking the amulets, but I also thought that we had something that references the Stag Lord in particular.
No. I mean, all their amulets are a stag's head.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't think we found like, unless
thought
you
that
brought
there
the
was, like-
journal or some shit
I
that
thought
has.
that there was like a letter or something that one of them had about it. Not even with all that booze.
No. I mean, a
Okay.
couple of them have told you like different pass-phrases, which did you
Guess
ever
maybe it
write
was just,
any of
like,
those
rumors.
pass-phrases
I
down?
got it.
So he'll kind of look and he'll just like record it, and then you'll see he'll take that, he'll see him like sign his mark to it, and then he sort of looks over, Oleg, right? Do you mind if I set up? And then looks like just sort of shrugs and gestures to the sort of outdoor tables near the cooking pit, and he sort of sits down. Sorry to really bother all of you, but same bureaucratic shit. Would you mind taking a seat with me for a second and we can do a little paperwork? It's for payment.
It's quite fine.
Sure.
And so he sits down.
He said payment. I was okay with it.
And so he sort of unravels the rest of this leather scroll case, and there's enough room for like a candle, ink, quill, and he sort of makes a mark and takes note of. He doesn't take them. He just needs to like see evidence. And once you've shown at this point, the adventure says once you have evidence of defeating 6 bandits. I think you have far more than 6 stag amulets at this point.
And Ari will say there's been a few that we've encountered who have surrendered peacefully, and upon negotiation, we've let them go.
Give me a diplomacy check, because he's said to kill their captures.
I wish you'd have left that out.
He's like, would you like to file 1040 or 1040 EZ?
It's a 17 on
I
the
don't have a
diplomacy.
released chapter 4.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Okay, and he's like, he sort of looks at you. Look, honestly, I don't want to do much more paperwork, and I don't know you, but if they're not going to cause problem, then it literally is solved. And frankly, there's less bloodshed and less shit to deal with.
Well, you never know, but I mean, it seemed like something that we weren't going to kill someone who was actively surrendering, and they didn't seem threatening enough. My friend here has some feelings about it, but it didn't seem threatening enough to us to... If they cause a problem again, we'll just stop it then. We're planning to stay here for the long haul.
If you expressly tell me that it's more beneficial to kill them, then we will do that.
And he looks over at the sort of cell swords. And so you see that he does have I imagine some sort of minimalistic tabard, or maybe a belt that does have some of the colors of the noble houses. But the other folks do just look like mercenaries. And he sort of looks over at them and looks at you and he's like, look, the problem is what they were doing, not who they are. And looks over at them, who people were before and what they're doing. It's not causing a problem. Everyone has some things they aren't proud of. And he gets quiet when he says that for a second.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He's like, so look, obviously it's not what
that is.
It's not what the nobles would have asked for, but I don't know that they have the best take or perspective on things like this. It's the real world, and if someone's making a living by hurting others one day and helping the next, well, then rather take help from someone who's there than not have it from someone who's not.
Sure. Exactly.
He sort of looks, he's like, I don't know you, but if I hear a problem and I'll come to you and you tell me otherwise, well, then I may have reason to tell something to my superiors, but frankly, it sounds like it's easier for all of us around if your solution sticks.
Ari's like, I'm Ariadna Vex.
Ariadna Vex sounds... Anyway, pleasure to meet you. And looks over to you, sir.
Lucky.
It certainly is my lucky day, the way this is going. Maybe it's even more... And he's sort of like...
Hot?
You see him kind of rifle through a couple of others. He says, look, I'm not going to ask for too much luck in one day, but I also have, and he unfurls 2 more posters, essentially, 2 more pieces that are written. And one says, and he does wrap up the bandit stuff, and he tears a bottom part off. He has 2 parts with the seal and his mark, one on the poster that will be sent back to the lords, and one that you'll keep essentially as a receipt for what the men find. He said, look, it'll be a bit, I apologize, it should be about a week or so, but it gets here. But it'll be a 30 gold reward if you want to mark down that in a week's time, 30
Excellent.
gold for the bandits, and 30 XP. He rolls out 2 more posters, and one is sort of a crude illustration of a kobold with sort of silhouettes behind it. And it just basically is saying that the Sootscale kobolds have been riled up, and there have been more and more kobolds and sort of other aggressions. And it just sort of says either resolve the kobold threat or kill the kobolds.
Interesting, you should bring that up. And she'll pull out Tucky's... well, I don't know if I want to admit to that. Do we have anything besides his notebook from showing that we settled that conflict?
Let me look.
I'll just say we interacted with them. We helped stop the cause of their war and all their strife. And I think that you won't be having much of a problem with them anymore.
Give me another diplomacy check. As you are sort of and keep in mind, this is sort of like a camp, a wooden, almost picnic style table. And I like the idea, this is a very frontiers conversation. You have Olog's house on one side, the bunkhouse on the other, the barn behind you. And you know who's in that barn?
Oh, the horsey.
Claptrap.
Claptrap the mule. And the 2 of you are just sitting there with man. The other
21
cell swords are
diplomacy.
already having a pint of something in the morning from one of the few kegs. I just look,
21 diplomacy.
You're Ari and Ariadna Vex, and you're the ones that the Sword Lords sent with the charter, right?
Yes, that's us.
I don't mean to insult you, but do you have it?
Yes. We pull it out.
And he sort of looks up and down.
I assume it's with the rest of our stuff.
Yeah, I think you would probably have that.
I assume Lucky has everything.
And he sort of looks
Because
the
Jared
wagon.
takes all the notes.
It's on the wagon.
And so, like, you are to some extent operating with some connection to Jamandi Ardul. And he's like, look, you are in this capacity, at least, agents of Aldori. So, is your word as such, you know? What he doesn't go on to say that is sort of implied is that, like, if he finds out you're lying, the blowback's really shitty. But, like, you've shown proof of the bandits. You say that you've dealt with the kobolds. He's like, well, in same process, Seal plants the ring from sort of the generic noble house's signet, tears off your receipt. Same thing. It'll be about a week. This one's going to be worth 40 gold when it shows up.
Great.
What I will say is these writs made out to you, you can preemptively make them, write them over to Oleg, who will either take them as currency, because they will basically show up here until they know where else to go. Or I think he's mentioned that he can place orders on your behalf. And so you can basically leave the writs to sort of say, like, collect what's owed from me out of special orders you're placing and collect it out of that.
Some
as it shows
IOUs,
up.
huh?
Kind of mean like it's not quite
It's like
a
a
bank
tab
writ.
almost.
Actually, you know what? Let's say that. It's sort of a double seal. I forgot that there is an agency of that. So it's sealed twice over, and it's sealed with noble houses, but it's made out through the god of the first vault. It's sort of Abdar connected, and like these payments shall be made in the name of Abdar, the god of like laws, deals, and money. Because like so they're sort of writs. You have to have like the right name and things, but Olag is willing to like sort of take it on, and this guy knows Olag. And he rolls out a third poster. He's like, right, I'm lucky. I don't think I'm lucky enough to go 3 for 3 in one day. And he plants it down, and there's this almost monstrous illustration of a boar, and it just says "Wanted Tusk Gutter."
Yeah, can't say we've seen that one.
Yep, no.
It's like, oh, it is a. And
Didn't we, or like we saw something go by and we just let it pass?
A bear once.
Was it not? Have we not seen a boar?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it's, even as you say, like Tusk Gutter, one of the sellswords kind of walks over. Oh fuck! If only put a price on his head, eh?
What exactly is this thing?
Oh fuck! Every hunter in the Greenbelt has a story about Tusk Gutter. It's the nastiest boar from the woods to the mountains. Whoever manages to kill it's gonna get quite the reputation in addition to that reward. Jesus, yeah. Oh, right, it is from Benzen. And you see that like this reward is sort of commissioned by one Veckel Brenzen, and this sellsword's like, what? Lost his leg to that monster of a pig more than a year ago. Took it clean the fuck off. It's a fucking spell and a half that he didn't take the other leg with him. I'd say he walks with a limp, but he barely walks at all. And so you see that there is a wanted poster here to deliver Tusk Gutter's head to Olak so that Veckel, they can be delivered to Veckel.
The wonders never cease around here.
This
Always
is,
something.
and so this one has a little bit less of a reward. The reward here is magical arrows and a to share in the roast. Like this hunter, who is quite a well-known like cook, is also like going to like wants the head, at least the head, and if you can the body, and will prepare it and share like parts of the meat, like quite a bit of meat and quite good meat.
I was going to say, if he just wanted the head, I'd be like, we just got a shitload of food.
Yeah.
And so so Keston's like, well, if you don't have it, then Olog kind of looks over at him. He's like, is there a place? He's like, yeah, sure. So he tacks it up on the side of the bunkhouse, kind of on the way in, leaves it up, and sends the other two back. Well, shit. Pleasure meeting both of you then.
Yeah, you too.
Are you out here often?
It's been a little bit since I've been out here. I was doing a little bit of work in southern Brevoy a few weeks ago, and then some shit happened. And well,
What happened?
you led on this one. Why don't you assist Jane on diplomacy from Lucky?
I rolled a 19, so you're good.
And what's your
9.
assist? Okay, total with the bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's no bonus. What's your total? Is it 19?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said I was
No,
assistant.
you're primary since you asked.
For diplomacy, that is a 26.
Well, there's some personal shit which I'm not going to burden you with, but
Thank you.
Unlike that alchemist.
Right.
A couple of months ago, I was doing a job with a Varisian who was out here, another sellsword of the sort, but we were moving goods, escorting nobles, the usual sort of work. And you kind of are picking up that this guy is probably someone who's out of good standing, probably is somehow related to a minor noble family, but is out of good standing, and so just has like in enough with like basically decent enough work that like would be sort of like a well success career for someone who doesn't have the connections, but for him it's just sort of like he's there. Mm-hmm. So, the normal nobility nepo shit. Yeah. But you were guessing that like if he's on this particular run, he must have then additionally pissed someone off or done something.
Right.
And so as he relates to you this story, which I'll kind of give you some bullet points of, it's clear that what he's saying is within the normal bounds of work. So he has done something to probably personally piss someone off, and that's why he's out here on the frontier now. But he basically goes on to tell you that he was working with a Varisian noble a couple of months ago, an older gentleman by the name of Falgrim Sneeg, who,
quite the name,
despite hiring as like sort of hired help on a mission like this, robbed the whole group he was a part of protecting, and fled out here into the green belt. And so he's sort of like, of the bandits you've seen of it, he sort of describes like an older man with like a thicker beard, gray hair, sort of deal, and saying like, does that ring a bell for any of you? Like any bandits you've seen look anything like? And
have we?
Old man, you say? Isn't there an old man being held captive by the Staghorn?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a bit pejorative. No, he's not like old. He's just a bit older. He's probably, because like this guy's probably in his like mid-30s, and he's probably he's got a decade or so on me. Just, gray's starting to show, which is noteworthy when you make your living by the blade as it is. Either you're really good by that point or you're usually dead, and he seemed somewhere in the middle. But Varisian, they are the wanderers. You'll see them everywhere, and you come from interesting backgrounds, those.
Does it look like anybody we've seen? Or does it sound like anyone we've seen?
Doesn't sound like anyone you've seen. Most of the bandits you've dealt with are on the younger side, for sure.
Well, no, but we'll keep an eye out.
I appreciate it. Honestly, we've been sort of told to set up here and act as a little bit of security if we can. So as long as there's places to rent or room to pitch tents on the nearby, we'll be in this area. So you can look for me here, or always send word back to Brevoy. If you do find something, I take it as a personal favor. I owe you one.
Yeah, this is kind of the place.
Yeah. He's like, look, and even then, in addition to what I owe you, I know that there's quite a few who still have a hankering for him to come to any sort of punishment. If you can get him back to me alive, I can probably call in a bit of a favor on that. Look, if it's dead, I can probably get you something, but if it's alive, I can probably triple it. Well, there are those who'd be willing to open up the family armories a little bit and kind of let them bleed out in the name of revenge.
We're quite capable, so
sure,
we'll keep that in mind.
I'll take it as a favor.
Our two other friends should be arriving any time now.
And it's at that moment you say it, that riding up on horseback is Arthur and Nikolai sort of sauntering into town.
Don't mind the one in the knight outfit. He's a little weird, but...
he's also not a knight, so don't worry.
Yeah, he's not a knight. I don't know why he wears that all the time.
I don't know.
The hat is like so... Do you think he wore that like... Does he ever take it off? Does he wear it when he sleeps?
No, I don't know.
You say to the man who's also in full plate armor with a helmet on, he's just sitting there awkwardly like, is this play about us? That's a dated reference. But he sort of stands up. This is the rest of your company then?
Yes.
Are they also...
This is Arthur Monmouth, not a knight, and Nikolai...
Medved.
That is a noble house name, right?
Yes.
And he sort of walks up. Medved.
Monmouth would be as well.
He probably wouldn't know Monmouth because this guy's kind of local, but
yeah.
You're all one of the Machado groups from the Aldoris, right?
Yes.
Sort of extends a hand and like just like genuine, like I've been talking with the rest of your company here, and we've already got the routes heading back to Brevoy under under Abdar writ. There should be money coming from your work. Seems like you beat most of us to it, so I think we'll be out here on sort of stationary patrol for a bit, but it's a real pleasure to meet you both.
Your armor is shiny.
Where do you normally patrol?
I normally do work back in Brevoy for the houses, but I'm out here now.
Okay.
Jared's just giving me side eye.
I'm
I
just-
want to
no,
know
I'm
his
just thinking, I'm
backstory
thinking.
so bad.
Well, so
Would
it's
Nikolai have heard of this guy before?
you know what? What's your do you have a lore that might be more specific, or otherwise I'll do society.
I have no. It's hunting lore.
I have
so.
geography lore.
I have courtly graces, so I can make an impression on him with by being a noble.
So we'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah.
Do you have society?
Yeah, 5.
What? Okay. Yeah, you
Noble
do recognize
families.
this guy's name. He is honestly didn't think I was gonna. So he's a member of one of the noble houses, but like sort of in name only. You do remember hearing hints of a scandal that sort of first forced him to become a mercenary. Now, he's been getting a lot of good work as a merc associated with the families because they do kind of know him. But yeah, you're like, oh, that's right. You did hear a little bit. Yeah, you got a critic. So you actually do recall hearing that there was an affair between Keston
Svetlana.
and a woman named Tanya, a weaver's daughter who wasn't noble. And he was sort of exiled from nobility. His father, a cousin of the Garrus family patriarch, because Garrus is one of the noble families of Brevoy. His dad's cousin basically exiled and disowned him. And so he fled to Restov, which is the southern part of Brevoy, which is where all you were from. He fled to Restov and has been working as a mercenary. And then sort of when there was an opportunity to actually work for some noble families again, seems to have volunteered or, you got to gather he's like trying to do work for one. Could people maybe get his name back in good standing?
Okay.
So you would have heard that through the rumor mill. Yeah.
Because he's kind of hot.
Well, Joe Sharis, Nikolai, knowing that he's a homewrecker, is a little bit like
No, so
eyeing him up and down.
your thought there isn't so much that it was intrinsically a homewrecker as it was he was in a relationship with someone of a much lower standing and the family didn't like
His family's
that.
just an asshole.
So he did it for love.
You don't know.
Well, then I like him a lot.
It could have just been like a fun thing. Who knows?
Just a
but
thing.
Regardless, or maybe who knows how maybe there was something about it that became public. You don't have those details.
Okay.
You just know that it was some shit.
Okay.
And you'd heard that there was, because like, not that you were disowned, but like in a similar position of like a minor, not even a scion, like a minor relation of a noble family with a noble in name only.
Yeah.
So very sort of similar situation. What would you all like to do? It's morning of this day. You vaguely know the direction and location of the Stag Lord's fort. You could buy a shovel.
Can he come with us?
No, he's specifically stationed to help like defend because this is a trading post that allows for information things to flow.
At least it relieves us of the like, what if we leave and then somebody comes along and
Yeah.
kills them?
Yeah.
Don't you
what
guys
if-
have something you want to give Svetlana?
Oh, yes. Hey, lady.
I would say is Svetlana out there?
Yeah, her and Oleg are like always sort of fixing and working things up and kind of taking inventory. They're actually reworking to re-inventory and clean some of the stuff that Lucky redistributed to them. As a part of that, Oleg didn't say it, but Svetlana made it clear to both of you that like you have free stay here whenever you'd
Okay.
like.
Dope.
So
Great.
You
Nikolai
literally
will shake
gave
that.
them so much money of like trade goods that to them is a livelihood.
Dope. That's good.
So
Nikolai will shake that guy's hand, but then he's gonna move towards where Oleg and Svetlana are.
yeah, and because like these are paying because like Garrus and the 3 sellswords are like paying customers, so they're just like moving out some morning fare and some food and some watered down like wine or mead. And the sellswords are they're setting up. They're probably playing a game of cards and just like getting breakfast, and so they're just kind of working I think probably Oleg is like working on both like breakfast and like starting to cook something for like starting a long-term smoke or cook for dinner. And Svetlana is sort of getting some of that done and taking some inventory.
So I'll walk up to Svetlana, but on my way I'll say like, "Hello, Oleg."
And he sort of looks up and like gives a genuine smile and like it's like a strong nod.
And I'll
Just,
reach
"Thank
in
you."
my pocket like as he's looking at me, and I'll go to Svetlana and say, "Is this the ring you are missing?"
And like she instantly like tears up a little bit. There's like this big smile on her face, and Oleg like sets one
And
of
I
the plates.
throw it into the woods.
And he comes over and And like she's like tearfully kind of putting it on. He's like, "Oh, it's just a piece of metal." And she's like, "It means so much." And he looks at her like, "Thank you for what you've done.
Yes,
It really
certainly.
means the world." And so yes, you're right. There's another quest. Let me find that fucking quest, John. Svetlana's ring. Although, see, 50 gold in trading post credit,
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Great.
which remember you can also use for special orders.
We need a shovel. Here is your ring. Can we have a shovel?
You have a +1 shovel.
I'm gonna say, do you guys spend?
We have a character in another game who has that exact thing.
He uses the stats of a quarterstaff,
That's
and
awesome.
it's a gravedigger shovel.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
However, it's noteworthy. They are level 13 now,
Yeah.
and he still only has a +1 on it, and it keeps using it in combat. Not a striking rune, just a +1.
And hitting.
Yes.
Nice.
And we're like, oh, he's gonna do 7 points of damage at
Yeah.
level 13. Okay. How much longer do you spend here today, broadly?
Oh, I think we
The
would
whole
just
day.
like turn around and set out, right?
Oh,
No, I think we would stay. I think we would stay and
let's go.
recoup.
I think we would take a day to
Yeah.
repurpose runes if we
oh
can.
yeah, get those
Oh,
moved
yeah,
over.
sure.
That's true.
Okay, so then here's a couple of things. I'm going to give you some
Preparing
details
spells and
today.
shit.
You do, so you'll have 50 gold pieces in trading post credit.
Okay.
I'll also give you some more XP for that. You also, throughout the day, you get 2 other, these are extremely side quests. But if you want to record it, because I think these are fun little bits of extra character. Oleg's trophy is one side quest. It says, the way everyone talks about tatzelworms, one might think they're everywhere. This isn't the case. They're actually quite rare. A tatzelworm head would be a great conversation piece at Oleg, so he's promised a reward to anyone who can deliver one. Anyone who's able to slay a tatzelworm and bring back its head intact. He will have 5 lover's knots, which is a like small magical item. Additionally, Svetlana had sort of come over to probably Nikolai, because I think he's the one that she probably has the most of a rapport with. And she said that, like, look, Oleg's been under so much stress lately, and she really wants to, like, try to do something nice for him. And she knows that, like, one of his favorite dishes is this soup, but it needs moon radishes and it's sort of a rare ingredient. The nearest patch is about 16 miles south, but, like, it's not like she has had time to go, like, venture 16 miles out. So if you can bring a basket full of moon radishes, she's like, look, it's not much, but it would mean a ton, and, like, we'll get some other value out of it. She's offering 15 gold for a whole, like, collection of this crop, because they'll also preserve and sell some in different ways.
Have you ever had squirrel on a stick? It's very
Squirrel
good.
on a stick? I thought it was fish on a stick.
I've heard it both ways.
Squirrel is the fish of the land.
When you're not by a river, you're like, this is just land fish.
Squirrel on a stick.
Perfect.
But as a part of returning that ring, I think Jason Nikolai, as a part of Erastel's edicts to, like, build and connect families, throughout the day and throughout your evening, you receive a moderate boon of Erastel.
Moderate.
Cool.
Ooh.
Nice.
Bone of Rassel's sweet.
Yes.
Sweet boons.
Actually, yeah. And so this will allow you to use a longbow in any situation. When you attack with a longbow, you can ignore the volley trait.
So big.
Dope.
So big.
And for a week, whenever you critically fail to subsist, I'm going to give you the minor as well, but just for a week. Whenever you roll to a critical failure to subsist, you just get a failure instead.
Nice.
Nice.
Trent, you kept your word. Arthur kept his word. A pledge that pissed off Lucky several times and literally almost TPK'd the whole party.
Still
Yeah.
kind of pisses him off.
So
Got that fucking ring.
there aren't scripted divine intercessions for either of the gods in your pantheons.
Sure.
So I'm gonna,
there are more gods if you would like, but go on.
oh, what are some of the other gods in that
Oh,
one?
God, I have to look it
is
up, though.
Iomade in there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because hers seemed kind of the most easily in line.
Yep.
So here's what I'm gonna say. I think that this is a small one because I think that it's not a huge deal for you. I think it's a much bigger deal for Erastel to, like, reunite a family symbology.
Yeah, totally.
But you're gonna get what is essentially the minor boon of Iomade. And you always present yourself at your best. Your clothing and person are always clean and uncrumpled.
Hell yes.
The metal of your blade and armor shining and unblemished. This doesn't prevent you from being exposed to diseases and other infection, but it protects you as though you had thoroughly washed this all away regularly.
This makes me so much more annoyed at Arthur.
Like the light is just catching my armor now. You're like, what the hell?
It's like you were just that much extra little bit shining because like you did this good thing, and now like your clothes always smell just slightly of lavender.
I love that a god is like, good on you, and just makes you extra clean.
Tide.
Yeah.
Cleanliness is. I do like the idea though that like if a tenet of a god is to display a certain way, it isn't like this is on you. They're like, well, so then as you doing my work shall do through you as well. This. Yeah, I love the divine intercessions and curses. Similarly, if either of you fuck around with your god stuff, I can give you boons. I think we've talked about my favorite curse, which is when you piss off Cade and Kalian, you get other people's hangovers for them.
Yep.
Which is a curse.
Truly a nightmare.
Yes. Can't imagine what that would be like.
All right. So at this point, you have quite a bit of money. And so here's what I'm going to say. I suspect that we'll only make it so much further recording into this day's recording session. So because we're not going to do a shopping episode in a community where there is one general store.
Right.
And we've already played out a role-playing scene with the people who run this fucking trading post. Think about it, make the notes. What I will say is I think it's 10% the value of a rune to move it over, or 5% is the transference cost.
Something we'll have to look up.
But you can all pay that and you can move all the runes around. I'm going to say that you have to be at least an expert in crafting. Lucky, are you such?
No, I'm just trained.
So I'm going to say that because Oleg is a phenomenal woodworker. I'm going to say that he has somehow, magically, for the sake of fucking expediency, I'm going to say that Oleg happens to have the right proficiencies needed to work on runes.
Sweet.
Because I kind of like that in the story. It's 10%.
Yep.
So I think it's 5 gold then for a +1 rune to move it over.
That's
so it's a
fine.
50 gold rune.
Can we take it out of our credit?
Oh, 100%. Like for that ring,
Perfect.
you have 50 gold in credit with him alone, plus the 2 writs, which are worth another 70 gold together.
Okay.
So
you have
4
100
times, right? Because we have 4 plus
So
1.
that's 20 gold to move everything around.
Okay. Take it off there.
And that's supposed to take a couple of days. I think it is supposed to take at least a full day. So I'm going to say it's till tomorrow. I'm going to say it's a full day. He can get it done.
I'm not opposed to us resting more than one day here either. We've been on the road for a while.
If you guys will take a day or two, but let's say it's a day or two. It's not long. You're going to set up here. You're hanging out. You're getting to know Garrus a little bit. And any of you who are interested, I think him and his men are regularly they're not his men, like the fellows. Like they're probably playing cards. And there's always a card game to get on. And if you're interested,
Ari definitely wants to practice fighting with them too.
Garrus will probably spar with you. He's pretty good. He's not great, but he's decent.
Because, she's definitely wanting to learn from people too.
Well, this would be a good opportunity then. So you have that chance. The two of you are sparring for a day or so. So what I'll also say is it's not a long time. Well, and this is where it's entirely up to you. If you want to go a week, that would be enough time to potentially even get some goods in from Restov. And would be enough time to retrain any skills or abilities you want to before going down. Do you want to spend a week?
I'm Nikolai's for that, but I'm willing to listen to everybody else.
I mean, there isn't a clock. This is a bandit lord who's been in power for months, a year or two.
I mean, does anyone need to retrain?
I don't really need to. I guess I don't care if it's he's kind of been in power anyway, and there's no reason to suspect that it's going to get worse if we let him go on for a week.
I want to dispatch with him as quickly as possible.
I would also say that if you did spend a week, I would hand wave you having enough time potentially to go down and, we could play out you going down to get moon radishes. I'm not going to hand wave that because there's something there. But
I have something I would retrain in, but it's not essential at the moment. So if we'd rather move, then fine with that.
Kingmaker is a game in which downtime is a thing. So
I do need my shield repaired.
They can do that for sure.
Yeah, we'll just take the week and get ready, all completely fueled up, and then go after the stag lord.
Okay.
That's fine.
So you take a week.
I'll spend a week trying to see how much money it would take to get these sellswords to join us in a fight.
They are contracted on this run right now.
I cannot pay the contract.
No. So, but you do potentially have a way down south. So you're all set up. What's the the week goes by. You spend a week at the trading post. The weather's starting to get warmer. The days a little longer. You have food. I especially imagine if any of you are willing to like go out and help with like bringing some food in and like gathering stuff. So like Nikolai, if you're willing to go on maybe a hunt a couple of times.
I love that. He goes on hunts. He learns how to, he's like really focused on foraging.
And I think maybe even Garrus will go out with you once or twice just to like get some practice. He'll spar with you during the day.
Lucky might go out with you once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of days into that week, Knock Knock shows up.
Stay here, Knock Knock.
So what's going on with the kobolds, Knock Knock?
And we're not going to go into that whole bit, but like, see, he's like, they're doing good. Things seem to be kind of mellowing out. He describes it in somewhat like insulting ways of like, they're fucking boring and no one wants to do anything. No one's died since you left.
You are
There's
doing a
no
very
way
good
I'm going
job.
to become
then.
a hero if no one dies.
I think Arthur pens a letter back home, and it's
Sure.
like, hey, haven't heard from you guys at all. Here's everything that's happened so far. I know, pretty messed up, but this is all I know. And just kind of,
Has it set up so that like the next time there's a run to somewhere where that can be taken to deliver
right,
it to. Yeah.
carry your prairie chicken.
That's a good idea. I'll go down on some of that too.
So you
Mail.
both write a couple of letters to family.
I think Ari will also try to spar with Arthur or like get to
Ooh.
know Arthur a little more because she's been like, oh, he's so annoying. But then she's like, well, we're kind of stuck with him. So like maybe we'll try to like be friends.
I will say, I want to go back on one thing before you, Trent, elaborate on what that might look like. Since Garrus is like he's been a sellsword and a bounty hunter for a little bit, so I imagine that you're even training some of the maybe future bounty hunter feats, sort of like an amateur one by any means. But I think as you're like,
Shouldn't have told him my name.
no, he's
Right.
he's the like guy and he classifies that does odd jobs, sort of bounty hunter. But I think like as you're thinking about where some of your free archetype feats and bounty hunter come from in the future, Jane, like maybe some of it is some things that like as the two of you are training throughout the week, staying active. But what would training with Arthur be like?
Like, come on, it'll be fun.
I like to train.
Whack. She like hits him with a stick. Let's go. Come on, whack.
I think he would like shield bash you to like really like
She'd be
this
like,
is what it's like to fight in melee.
Okay. And like they'll just like fight with each other. Maybe occasionally she'll like antagonize him a little bit.
Nikolai hands Lucky a copper and says, I got this on the little one.
Ari will constantly attempt to do her thing and trip Arthur in all of his big clanky armor.
And I imagine
Yeah.
Arthur's probably not the easy. Well, you're easier to trip than like to grab, but
Right.
yeah. So you guys get some good training time in. So a week goes by. A heavy storm passes, and is it time to set out? Are you going to
Yeah,
head
I believe
south?
I think so.
Oh, I have some healing potions that we can do offline.
All right, nice.
You're
So
going to
per
be
that
pouring them down our
bounty,
throat later, so it doesn't matter.
It's fair.
per that bounty hunter thing,
hmm
Ari, as we're leaving, is going to designate the Stag Lord as her prey.
Ooh, good pick.
Badass.
So that means that she can get some bonuses on perception checks when I'm seeking the prey, and bonuses to survival checks to track the prey.
All right. I'm going to also give you guys two other pieces of little info because you spent a week and you made some connections. This can come from any of you who wanted to have had this conversation with, and whoever you got it from, it's your choice. So you know that the Stag Lord's fort is down near Tuskwater. Remember that lake that I was kind of showing you on the east side of the forest?
Mm-hmm.
It's on the west side of the green belt, that sort of bigger lake where the rivers were all running down into. Because, all rivers have to run somewhere. And it's at the north edge of the Tuskwater is what that lake is called by the locals. Now, that does notably mean that you would have to cross the river. And we've talked a little bit about what the fuck's going on with those rivers, right?
Is that this little bridge that we came across
The
earlier?
one bridge that you make some checks and you're like, man, if a single large thing. So
Yeah.
like you could go on foot, which would make you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, almost a week of on foot to get down there.
Okay.
On that bridge. But I'll say, because Olog's been around for a little while, He says he hasn't heard anything about it for ages, and that makes him a little concerned given everything that's been going on with the Stag Lord. Oh, but there used to be a crossing, sort of a little farther up the river from, if you were to go east of the kobolds' hideout or the kobolds' place, there used to be a ferry that has a crossing there. So he doesn't know what's happened to that. He hasn't heard from them in a while, but it's not like he's been going out and chatting with folks a lot. So he's like, yeah, I don't know what to say there. Yeah. There also is potentially a crossing on the river where it's shallow, where the river splits and goes to the river that was near the Thorn River that you all took the bandit camp. And then another tributary, and then part of that goes south down into, not tributary, but it goes down south into the Tuskwater. So you think there's 3 ways to cross. There's the bridge that would need a lot of repair work to not collapse under anything more than a person. There's where sort of the river splits and it just gets shallow enough where maybe you could ford it. Or there's an old ferry, but that's an extra like 20 miles to the east out of the way to go over a ferry crossing. So just some things to consider.
Okay. Are we trying to pose as bandits? Is this our...
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
this
think,
is bandit time.
and I also think that we should rough up one of us, and and it should probably be Arthur, because something tells me that he's just the one of us the Stag Lord will hate the most, and
Sure.
I actually
Classic.
like the idea that you try and rough me up and you're like trying to dirty me up.
can't, guys.
You're trying to dirty me up, but like the mud just seems to just like slip right away.
I mean, you can still
right.
tie him up.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I'm going to say, like, you need to let us punch you because we need to look, because
You can try.
Ari punches Arthur. But it's like the one bandit said, oh, the one that we fought that had the 2 axes, not like the big bad, but the other one at the fire. And the bandit we let go said, oh, she killed a bunch of us to impress the Stag Lord. And so I think if we're like, oh, we're bandits, we caught these 2, and then take them in there and be like, we captured this Knight of Lastwall and we're bringing him to you as a gift to prove that we want to like join your little bandit crew.
Also booze.
Also all this booze.
It's classic.
He took it. We took it from him. Poison it. Yeah. And then like just kind of slip our way in there.
Do you have poison?
I have poison. I have a giant centipede poison.
Oh shit, you do.
Oh, God.
I don't think that Arthur is the best option
Why?
because he is going to hate me as soon as he sees me.
Arthur?
Me. The
The Stag Lord will hate you. Well, then we'll take you and Arthur. We'll bundle you up together and Lucky and I will pretend to be bandits.
I hand Lucky my bow and was like, please keep this safe, and when the time is right, give it back to me.
Well, we'll hold it till we get there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that Nikolai and Arthur.
I'll stay at my clothes in and wait for you guys to beat my
And
ass.
she's going to talk to Nikolai and be like, okay, I know you can't lie, but just selectively truth tell, please.
Just
Yeah,
don't
but if I
say.
stay,
Just don't say
quiet.
anything. Yeah.
it's better if you gag me.
I'll lie for you.
Okay, we'll gag him.
We didn't know that about you.
Well,
Okay.
You know. Now
So,
you do.
for the sake of moving this towards a compelling plot point.
Oh,
Wow.
ouch.
Wow. He just called you
That
uncompelling.
was really mean.
No, I
think
mean,
about all of us.
I'm also, while you're all doing some really wonderful
Yeah.
role playing, I'm reading ahead a little on prepping a few different things. Which crossing do you think you're interested in?
So we need to take a wagon.
There's
So
the shallow river, there's the ferry, and there's the old bridge.
not
Fair.
the bridge.
Ferry would be great.
Yeah, if we can do the ferry, I think that's best.
The ferry's an extra day out of the way for you.
That's fine.
Fine.
It's fine.
Like I said, this
Like
is one
we've
of the
not
first.
been in a hurry.
This was one adventure I was actually specifically excited to run in second edition because the downtime mechanics in 2E are so cool. And
There went that person.
yeah, that crazy fast longboarder.
Came back the other way.
They're roller skates.
He's like, oh, is it?
Yeah.
Which for people
Oh,
listening has been like 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
He's just really going at it.
It's not even a longboard. It's roller
Oh,
skates.
I thought it was some like fucking silver surfer out there just cruising.
Yeah.
Nice.
But this is, I think, the adventure in which like there is, because we joked about that sometimes in adventures of like, why don't we take time to heal between, like why is there this imaginary clock on it?
Right.
And especially in first edition where you're like, we can do like 4 fights in a day and we have to sleep for 10 hours.
Yeah.
This is a fun one because like there's environments in which like you have to blitz through it in sort of one day, but there's so many things which are like, we're going to take a week. Let's make friends. Let's get to know these people. And
Yeah.
I love the campaign for that so much more. All right. So you kind of know your way down. You can sort of go back the way you came past the quickest way to that crossing is going to be to sort of go over and take the road across the Rosslyn hinterlands and then cut down sort of near Boken's hut. Go past the... You don't have to stop there, but like
Yeah,
that
no,
path.
we're not.
I was the hermit.
Oh
Annoying.
my God, so weird.
Oh, I'm so
worst.
excited to meet him.
You actually would probably get along great.
We should
Go
travel
past
there
this-
just us one day.
He'd probably love to talk about squirrel on a stick.
Oh.
You can go past... So you'll go over there. You'll go right past the spider den.
Okay.
Past the blackened tree, the stroke tree, and then you can get to the ferry. So that's going to be, you can go 1, 2, 3, it'll be 4 days travel
Okay.
to get over there. Another half a week or so when you start rolling up on where Olag told you this ferry is. So let's do a little bit of reading, right? I think there's some plot shit here. So all of you are going to start working your way up to towards this like ferry, this rope bridge sort of deal here. And as you're working your way there, you get to where it obviously the crossing should be. And you see now this place in Oleg told you called it Nettles Crossing. And there's almost nothing there. It's a soggy, abandoned remnant. You see a single thick, sagging rope hanging across the river. All that remains of like once a rope bridge with like a ferry that you could have pulled alongside the rope bridge next to it. But all that's left is this single, thick, old rope. And you just see a ruined signpost that just barely reads the Nettles Crossing, 5 coppers, ring bell for service. You can see on the south bank of the river, you're on the north bank, that encroaching vegetation has like already started to grow over what looks like the remnants of a burned down wooden building.
No.
And
Bandits.
on the north side of the river, you just see what's left of this beaten up sign and a rusty bell hanging beneath it.
I go over and ring the
Yeah.
bell.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'll
Yeah, I was
detect
like,
magic
all of
as
us
he's
want to
doing it.
ring this bell.
Oh, I have to ring the bell.
Detect magic.
So you ring the bell. Ding, ding,
I believe you said the bell was handsome.
I believe you said that.
It's rusty.
He wants to detect magic.
Is
Okay,
it magical?
You detect magic. No magic.
Ring, 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 ring.
I throw
ring,
5
ring.
coppers on the ground.
Bring, bring.
Okay. You throw 5 coppers in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Ari
to say.
picks them up and puts them in her
I
pocket.
thought that my
Wow,
dwarves-
this service is terrible.
I mean,
Well.
it's pretty clear that something got burned down. Did I not make that clear as a GM?
Can I do a survival to see if we can like wade across or get across somehow?
Yeah, I'll make that. That's,
What the
that's an
safest
open
options
check
are?
for sure. Go for it.
Open,
Yeah.
What is it on Oregon Trail?
fording the river.
Ford
the river.
I played
So
a
caulk
decent
the
amount of
wagon and
Oregon
float.
Trail not too long ago.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. What's,
26.
you think that a few of you could like, what's it called when you like put your whole body in the rope and like worm crawl?
Oh, yeah.
A couple of you could do that across the rope,
At a time.
but it's certainly not going to help with like the horse or
Yeah.
the carriage.
But there's nowhere on the river that we could just cross.
You're probably gonna have to work your way west to that sort of just like lower, more shallow crossing option now.
Yeah.
All right,
Can
we'll do
we-
that.
Just got to do that.
Meander up to this building, see if there's anything.
It's the building's on the south side, so
Oh,
you
oh,
have
oh.
if you want to crawl across the river on the rope to check out the building.
Sure.
Give me a climb
Why not?
check.
I like to climb.
I
Should
should
go with
probably
him,
go
Ari.
too, because I'm more nimble.
Sorry, this is an athletics. Athletics check to climb.
Yep.
Climb's not an own skill anymore. That's a first edition thing. It's fine. I'm fine. I've been playing this game for a long time. Speaking of rule changes, You have to make a climb move. It's like a football move.
Right.
Right.
How's a 30?
It's a critical
I got
success.
a 27.
That's also a critical
Hell
success.
yeah.
So both of you watch the two of them in full plate and even like leather armor or
Yeah.
studded leather.
Yeah.
Just like
Nikolai's like, oh, to be young again.
Nikolai's not that old. How old is Nikolai?
Just 17-year-old. 30.
Or older.
Basically
Ancient.
dead.
Yeah.
So the two of you make it across and you can kind of work your way through. It looks to be a small like house and office. You can see where it's been burned to the ground. And all that's left of it. Yeah, that's it.
Hello.
Oh, these bandits
Hello.
Wrong character.
destroy everything.
Hello.
Ari's like, what's this dwarf doing here?
I will say, at this point, it's 4 days to get over there.
Yeah.
So it's probably evening on the fourth day. The sun's starting to set while you two are over on the south side of the river. And what are you two doing on the north side, Lucky and Nikolai?
Scouting.
Yeah, you start because you know that these shallow crossings to the west, so you can
Right.
kind of start to scout west a little ways. Lucky, you just staying with the stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Knock Knock did stay behind at the trading post
Thank
and was
goodness.
weirdly hitting it off with one of the cell swords.
Oh.
Good.
So I think while you're there, Nikolai, your was it +7 on perception?
9.
Fuck me. +9. As you're coming back from the river, you're kind of going to the east. You've got the sun behind you, and there's like weird reflections on the water. You swear you see something moving under the water in the middle of the river. It's deep. Looks like a shadow of something.
There's something in the water.
You're still a ways away from like you see. This is. Yeah.
Ari's meanwhile like, hey, do you think we should just swim back?
No, I'm in metal.
That doesn't rust.
Yeah.
True.
Looks like it's fine.
As you were talking about it, you see the two of you see Nikolai far in the distance, like trying to say something. You can't hear it. The wind's going the wrong way, and you
Hi,
see
Nikolai.
something start to break the surface of the river downriver from you, and you see a head come up out of the water, and then shoulders.
Oh.
And there's like holes where the cheek should be, as like part of the skin is peeling off as
Undead.
this shape starts climbing onto the surface of the moving river, walking atop it toward the two of you.
It's Jesus.
Tune in next week to
Oh.
find out.
I shall slay the undead.
I'm so scared.
This is terrible.
The Live to Die podcast is a production of Live to Die Gaming. Follow us on social media at Live to Die Pod. Leave a review and tune in next week for more. If you like the amazing background audio and music, all that credit goes to Syrinscape. Make sure you check them out at Syrinscape.com.